The City of Tuscaloosa Zoning Board of Adjustments is called to order. It's June 24th, 2024. At this time, I'd like to introduce our board members, beginning to my right, Mr. Rollins,
Paul Rollins Jr.
Linda Ford.
Michelle Coley,
Tim Gillum, Marty Hamner.
At this time, we'd also like to introduce our city staff. From the Department of Urban Development, Emily Hayes, Associate Director of Planning, Jonathan Bowen, Neighborhood Resources Coordinator, and from the Office of the City Attorney, Ms. Kim King, Associate City Attorney. And Mr. Kevin Jones is helping with our video production in the back. Thank you, Kevin. The purpose of the Zoning Board of Adjustments is that the Zoning Board of Adjustments does not have the authority to enact zoning laws or special exceptions, nor does the board have authority to rule on claims of equal protection of the law or the fairness or unfairness of any zoning ordinance. By virtue of the state law and city ordinances, the purpose of the ZBA is as follows. We hear appeals from decisions of the zoning officer of the city. We grant special exceptions to the zoning code in accordance with the terms as established by the city council therein. Grant variances from the terms of the zoning code when, owing to the special conditions, a literal enforcement of the code would result in unnecessary hardship. No one factor determines what is an unnecessary hardship, but all relevant factors, when taken together, must indicate that the plight of the property in question is unique in that it cannot be put reasonably to a conforming use because of limitations imposed upon it by reason of its classification in specified zone. Now, my working definition of an unnecessary hardship is as follows. The property cannot be put to any reasonable use under its current zoning classification. It must be unique and peculiar difficulty relating to the property of a serious and significant nature. It must relate to the property and not any personal issues. That includes economic, financial gain or loss. A variance may not be granted where the property owner merely suffers a financial loss of a kind that is common to all of the property owners in the area. Circumstances that are not hardships, self-inflicted or self-created, inconvenient, personal. Now, the Zoning Board of Adjustments, by virtue of state law and City of Tuscaloosa ordinance, does not have the jurisdiction or authority to consider, interpret, or enforce any term or condition of subdivision covenants and or homeowner association rules or regulations. Now, these matters are therefore not relevant areas of inquiry by the board on any petition. Such covenants or regulations are between the private parties involved and not the ZBA. That having been said, any decision made by the ZBA on any particular case does not necessarily preclude the enforcement of such subdivision covenants and or HOA rules or regulations by other lawful means. Now, this is a public hearing. It is being recorded, videotaped, and is streaming live on the city's website, Facebook, as well as local cable TV. Proper decorum, civility, and respect for others is required at all times. There is a sign-up sheet out front for the public comment. Up to 4 speakers will be given the opportunity to speak in favor of a petition, and up to 4 speakers will be given the opportunity to speak in opposition to a petition. All speakers have up to 5 minutes unless the board votes to allow longer time. When you are at the podium, please speak directly into the microphone and state your name and address for the record. All comments should be directed to the board. No questions or comments are to be directed to city staff. I would like the city staff to confirm for the record that all the appropriate and required public and individual property owner notices for each case upon the docket of petitions now before the board have been made in accordance with the law.
It has.
Okay. Now, the following procedure will be followed for each petition. This hearing is an opportunity for the petitioner to present their case, for the public to inquire and make their views known about the petition, and for the board members to gather relevant facts before making its decision. City staff will introduce the petition and present facts and information to the board concerning the same. The petitioner or petitioner's designated representative will be asked to make comments and answer questions from the board. The petitioner will have up to 10 minutes unless the board votes to allow a longer time. The 4 members of the public that are in support of the petition and the 4 members of the public that are in opposition to the petition who signed up to speak will then be afforded an opportunity to make inquiries and comments. Petition response. At the close of the public comments, the petitioner will be asked to respond to the comments if necessary. Any rebuttal will be allowed up to 2 minutes unless the board votes to allow a longer time. The chair may then permit the public to respond, but only to any new issues raised by the petitioner in rebuttal. Any response will be allowed up to 2 minutes unless the board votes to allow a longer time. At the close of the public comment, or once the board is satisfied that it has received all relevant information on a petition, the chairman will close further comment or discussion, and the board will then discuss the matter. The chair will read into the record the motion to approve the request, along with any conditions set by the board, and the board members will commence voting. 4 votes are required to approve any petition, not a simple majority of the board. Once again, 4 votes are required to approve any petition. Leave signs in your yard. The staff will pick up the signs as soon as possible. Now, any party aggrieved by any final judgment or decision of such Board of Zoning Adjustments may within 15 days thereafter appeal therefrom to the circuit court by filing with such board a written notice of appeal specifying the judgment or decision from which the appeal is taken. Now, the board members have had a chance to review tonight's agenda items. Do any of the members have a conflict of interest with any of the cases on tonight's agenda? Okay. Okay, so we've had 1 withdrawn from tonight, and that was ZBA 4-49-24. Okay, so it's been withdrawn. Any minutes that we need to? No minutes? Ms. King, do you have a report for us? Oh, wow.
Very briefly, we did have 1 case appealed from the last ZBA hearing. It was the case involving David Clements and the home on Johnson Road, where it was the special exception for the personal care home that was filed, and we have not yet responded or done anything at this point because it's still very early on, but I just wanted to update you to let you know that we do now have 1 case that has been appealed.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Hayes, at this time, we'll introduce our new petitions.
Okay, we'll move into our cases to be heard tonight, beginning with case ZBA 4824, Josh and Brittany Savini petition for a special exception from the fence and wall regulations to construct a fence on the property located at 63 Arcadia Drive, zoned R1, Council District 5. So here's an aerial view of that property as well as the zoning, and then a closer aerial view. Here's a view of the front of the house. And then the side where it's an existing chain link fence with just some cover over it. They're wanting to replace it, so that's why they are here tonight. The applicable regulations in residential districts, it does state that fences in a required front yard should not be more than 4 feet in height and must be 50% opaque, as well as no closer than 10 feet to the curb line. So petitioners are requesting a special exception to install a 6-foot wood privacy fence in the front yard of their property. So this lot is a corner lot with 2 required front yards. The fence will be at least 10 feet from the curb line along Arcadia Drive. However, it will still be located within the required front yard setback, which is 23.33 feet. Per the petitioner, the fence will provide privacy for residents, reduce traffic noise, and enhance the security of the property. The fence will not extend past the front facade of the home. So this is just a rough drawing of kind of an estimate of where exactly that fence is going to fall. But essentially, this whole area is along Arcadia Drive, so it's a little bit confusing, but this is also considered Arcadia Drive, and that's where it is going to be at least 10 feet from this curb line, and then it will not go past the front facade on this side of the house. Do you have any questions for staff?
So what's on the other side? Is there a fence on the other side?
On this side?
Will the wood fence be on that side as well?
I'll have the petitioners confirm that.
Okay.
Is there an existing fence around the pool today?
There is a chain link fence, and The pool itself was not permitted. If it had been permitted, we do require a fence that is not easily scalable by a child, so we actually do not allow for chain link fences to be around a pool.
So will
But-
they have to get something for that?
They will. We've talked to them about getting a pool permit, and I think they've gone forward with that, or they were trying to decide whether or not they want to just take down the pool completely or go through the permitting process.
So it meets the setback requirement.
It meets the requirement from the curb line, but it's still in the required front yard. So the 23.33 is coming from the fact that city staff has the ability to reduce by a 2/3 reduction along a secondary front yard. That's where the 23.33 is coming from. It's still falling within that because it is only 10 feet from the curb line.
And if it was a side yard, it'd be fine with the 6 feet.
It'd be fine. Side or rear is perfectly fine. It's just front.
But if they'd have got the pool permit, it'd been a requirement to put this fence up.
Correct. They would be required to install a 6-foot fence that is not easily scalable by a child, so a wood fence. Do you have any additional questions?
So if they got the pool permit, they wouldn't have to come before us?
They would still, essentially the only way to avoid it would be putting that fence somewhere in this area. And if they put the pool somewhere in here.
Right.
But without full knowledge of the property, there's no way to confirm that that's even feasible. This is what they are proposing.
Is this an above-ground pool or an in-ground pool?
It's an above-ground pool. Any more questions?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Josh and Brittany?
Good evening, my name is Joshua Sabini. We live at 63 Arcadia Drive, Tuscaloosa, 35404. And, for the purpose of this, we're really looking for privacy and security for our family and our dogs and our kids. It's kind of a little bit difficult to tell from the photograph here, but it's awfully close to the curb there. And we do live in a nice neighborhood, but that means there's a lot of people walking during the day, the evening times. Along the side of the house there is our daughter's bedroom window and then our two master bedroom windows. And while we do have blinds, that means there's people walking really pretty close to that side of our house. So we're looking for privacy for those two rooms, and that's why we did want to extend it to the front facade of the house. And then also we do have dogs, and again, there's a lot of people walking their dogs. There's dogs running loose along that street. So we're looking for privacy and security there. And while we do have that short chain link fence and we do have some bushes there, it's still, dogs can come right up to our fence at that point, and our dogs are right there. Our children are right there. We have a 7-year-old son, super friendly. So sometimes he'll be out there trying to talk to neighbors. And while we love our neighbors, would love to try to avoid doing that. The in-ground pool has already been, or above-ground pool has already been taken down. And then we'll rectify that situation.
Do you have a fence on the south and east side of your house?
There is not, so that is just bushes on that side.
So you don't have a pool there now?
No, the pool is taken down.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions?
And if we had known about, I'm sorry, when we put that above-ground pool, we didn't do our homework properly, but as soon as we found out that that was an issue, then we took that down immediately, so. And then before we put it back up, we'll make sure that everything is in order for that. I would say, one correction on that, on the east side where there's bushes, that back maybe 1/4 has a fence. So the backyard itself is fenced. So there is a chain link fence, that same short height, along like that back quarter there.
And your intention is to do a permit for the pool?
Yes,
Ground pool?
yes.
Do you plan on fencing the whole backyard in or just this side?
No, there's a fence along the back too, so there's,
Is it
the
lining-
whole backyard is fenced. The back side of the fence going up against the neighbors behind us is a 6-foot chain link fence. Yes, that line right there is a 6-foot chain link fence along that back line.
And so does your fence come up to the back of the house or in front of the bushes?
So the side fence, no, it goes, so if you take the bottom part of that purple line and then go this way to about right there. And then there's a fence that goes to the back side of the house, yes.
Okay. And will that remain chain link and then the rest will be wood? Are you going to put wood all around?
For our purposes right now, we just want that wood fence just right there. If we needed to address that for, the pool thing is not really a priority for us at all, but if we do decide to put the pool back up and that's what we would need, we would do any additional fencing necessary to handle the pool. But I could say for us right now, that's not, we're not planning on putting that back up until everything has been done appropriately for the above-ground pool.
Okay. Any other questions for this petitioner? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is there anybody signed up to speak for or against? No one signed up. Is there anyone present now that would like to come and speak for or against this petition? At this time, we'll close public comment and we'll start with board comment with Mr. Rollins.
Yeah, I have no issues with it being the two front yards. I'm in favor.
What do you say?
I have no issues.
Okay.
I don't either. Especially where it is in the neighborhood and having the two front yards, yeah, I'm okay with it.
I agree with my fellow board members because of the uniqueness of the corner lot. I see the need, the special exception for the fencing. But I would like to put the stipulation that if you put the pool back up, that you have to have the proper fencing. So I would like to have that stipulated.
Yeah, I would agree with my fellow board members as well, based off the secondary front yard. I mean, I see the need for this. I have no issue.
I have no issues. The only thing is if you put that fence up, it looks like there's a row of trees or some shrubbery that's grown in front of that chain link. And I don't know if the cross the street neighbors would have any issue looking at a stark fence, or if is there any requirement for shrubbery or landscaping with a side yard fence like this?
There's not. I believe, are y'all gonna get rid of the shrubbery? They're planning on removing the shrubbery, and there isn't a requirement to maintain that.
At this time, we'll close board comment. I'll read the petition, the motion, ZBA-48-24, Josh and Brittany Sabini, petition for a special exception from the fence and wall regulations to construct a fence on the property located at 63 Arcadia Drive, Zone R1, Council District 5, voting with Mr. Rollins.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
petition is approved.
We'll move into our next case for tonight, ZBA 5024. Maria Chavez petitions for a special exception to allow vehicle-mounted food sales on the property located at 4130 McFarland Boulevard East, Zoned BH, Council District 7. So here's an aerial view of that property as well as the zoning. And then a closer aerial view. So this is an old convenience store. There's a tire shop right behind it over near the Fresh Value, which is just to the west of this. So here's a view from the street. We're just gonna kind of go around a little bit on this property. The applicable regulations, so there is some primary and discretionary criteria for the board to consider. With this, any special exception granted shall be valid only for so long as the establishment holds a valid food permit. It also talks about having the necessary parking. In addition, the discretionary criteria is what the board can consider on a case-by-case basis. So the board does have the ability to limit the number of days that they are allowed to operate in a certain location. The petitioner is requesting a special exception to operate a food truck. The food truck will operate from 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. It has received approval from the health department as well as from Tuscaloosa County. The applicant was approved for a business license that was tied to their home in the county. There was, just last month, they came for another location there was some issues with the pedestrians crossing and safety. So they took that into consideration and found another location. So these two green X's are the areas that they're thinking about being able to set up. Do you have any questions for staff?
Now, we don't have to limit it to 45 days. We
You
can
don't
just say
have
in
to.
depth.
It's just something that the board, on a case-by-case basis without discretionary criteria, you're not held to it. You can use it, though, to drive whatever way you choose to vote.
Any other questions for city? Thank you, Ms. Hayes. Maria Chavez?
Hi, my name is Michelle Ramirez. I'm just translating for Maria Chavez.
Okay. Will you give us her name and her address?
Que nos des tu nombre y tu dirección.
My name is Maria Chavez. My address is 2555 Clemens Road, Coatesville, Alabama, 3545. Three. I'm sorry.
Okay, so tell us your plans for
Que
the
nos
new
digas
food truck.
tus planes.
Pues mi plan es,
Well, my plan
es trabajar, que me
is
den
just to
el permiso
work,
para
to
poder
get the permits that I
llevar a
need,
cabo mi negocio, lo cual,
to fulfill my dreams with my business.
tengo todos mis
which-
permisos.
I have all the permits I believe I need. I just want to make sure that we're at a location y'all deem appropriate.
Y me gustaría que me aprobaran
I would just love to be approved for this location.
para poder ejercer mi negocio. Es mi única fuente de ingresos.
It's my only income at the moment. We're just trying to get our feet on the ground, trying to set up things right, have all the permits that we need to have, doing everything by the book.
Estoy vendiendo comida solo, por el momento es solo para llevar y
The food is only to go. There's not going to be any stationary like tables or tents or anything set up. ¿Alguna otra cosa que quieras decirle? I'm nervous.
Calm down. This
Appreciate.
no problem at all. Any questions for Ms. Chavez from the board?
I just want to say that I think this is a much better location,
I agree as well.
and I appreciate you coming back.
Apreciamos mucho que regrese para hacer las
Gracias,
cosas
thank
bien.
you.
So will this be the only location that she's gonna set her food truck? Set up a
Este
food
es el
truck?
único el lugar que han considerado
Por
en
el
el momento.
momento no encuentro más quien me dé.
For the moment, it is the only place because, they talk to the owners and everything, make sure they talk to some other places, but the owners weren't interested in, them parking their car there. So for the moment, this is the only place.
I agree with the board members. I think this is a better location.
Ese lugar sí se ve bien.
I know our concerns last month was basically where the food truck will be situated on the property.
Lo que
And
nos
with
preocupaba
this
era que
particular
no sabíamos dónde
location,
estaba
I would
ubicado la troca.
suggest that she
En
set up in that
este
top left
local,
portion,
Yo prefería
because
que
you'll still be
estuvieran
closer
en la
to that
parte
fallen,
de
where
arriba,
the lower right portion is.
más cerca del pasto.
So I got a question for city staff. If this is
Tiene una
approved,
pregunta para
is
los
it per
trabajadores.
truck or can she have multiple under one approval?
So this would just be for one truck at this one location.
O si tienes más trocas, y si nada más está en una sola troca en este local.
Any other questions for Ms. Chavez?
¿Alguna otra pregunta para la señora Chávez?
Okay, thank you. No more questions for you. We don't have anybody signed up to speak for or against. Is there anybody in the audience that'd like to speak for or against this petition? Okay, at this time, we'll close public comment and go to board comment. Mr. Rollins?
Yeah, like I stated before, I have no issues with it. I think this is a better location than what was brought before us last month. My only suggestion would be for the placement of the food truck to be in that top left portion, so that it's as far back from McFarland Boulevard as possible.
I have to agree with my board member, Mr. Rollins, but I think that should be maybe a condition to put it in that corner, just because of where the other, since they've agreed that either one of these places would be okay, I would think that would be a condition. And it's 45 days, right? But we could extend it. Okay.
So you're not held to 45 days at all. It's just a suggestion in the code. So you do have the ability to say as many days as you want. It's just a threshold.
So do we have to set a date, put a date on it?
We typically, because that is in there, it is something that we, as zoning staff, as planning staff, do find important for enforcement purposes to be able to limit the amount of days that something is operating there.
How many days? Ugh. Okay, and so,
I think that since it's a startup business and she seems to want to do everything by the book and correct, I would like to see that she has more days, if the
Yeah.
board agrees.
Yeah.
I would not be opposed to 60 days. I know that's a lot.
well, so what we're saying is that she'll set up and she only can be there 60 days and then leave and then come back for another 60 days, or just
Yeah.
60 days?
60 total days in the calendar year.
And then she comes back for another 60 days?
She could. So in our new zoning ordinance, we are going to allow for something like this by right to be able to operate. I don't know if we've quite worked out if we're going to put a limitation on it or not. I think we have kind of settled on not putting a limitation for the time being, so that can be something that y'all take into consideration.
I would like to do longer than 60.
Yeah, I'd
For
like,
this particular location.
yeah, because if you do 60 days, then
She can be right back
but
here.
she'll be right back here every 60 days getting a new approval.
So what would you suggest?
6 months.
I would say from now to the end of the year, just to see what happens, and then,
I'll agree with that.
council, is that setting a precedent? Are we doing something?
Yes.
I think you're fine because this is a unique situation, especially with the code being changed, hopefully fairly soon, soon in the relative scheme of things. So I don't think you're setting a precedent, a bad precedent with this because it would fall under the new code. I think you're just sort of following that already, which is great.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So I agree with my fellow board members. Where we have the two X's, I'm okay with either spot pushed back. Like, instead of being at the front of the property, anywhere across that back line would be okay with me, so that traffic can flow in and flow out. So I would like to recommend that anywhere on the back line that you can do it, as opposed to anything up front. And then 6 months would be what I would be, so that at least the new code can kind of come in, and then we don't have to kind of keep coming back and forth.
Yes, I agree as well with the 6 months and pushing it further off in the farm.
I'm
Okay.
in agreement. I think especially as busy it is on that corner, the traffic backing up potential, it needs to be off the streets. Good.
All right. At this time, we'll close board comment, and I will read the petition. ZBA-50-24, Maria Chavez, petitions for a special exception to allow vehicle-mounted food sales on the property located at 4130 McFarland Boulevard East, Zone BH, Council District 7, with the stipulation that she operates in the rear of the property and that it's for 6 months. Voting with Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Good luck.
Right.
Okay, we'll move into our next case for tonight. ZBA 5124, Commons North LLC petitions for a special exception from the off-street parking regulations at 1750 Commons North Loop, Zoned BN, Council District 3. So here's an aerial view of that property as well as the zoning. This is north of the river, Old Colony, Commons North, as well as that Publix. And then a closer aerial view. It's a vacant lot, so I'm not going to show you all some pictures of a vacant lot. It's still vacant today. The applicable regulations, so a decrease in required parking is what they are asking for. Essentially, it does state that the applicant should demonstrate to the satisfaction of the board that based on the nature of the business and prior experience with such businesses, a reduced number of off-street parking spaces will meet reasonably foreseeable requirements. So the off-street parking requirement for this type of use is 1 parking space per bedroom plus 7% of the total number of bedrooms rounded to the next higher whole number. And then this is a mixed-use development. It was being proposed to be developed as a PUD, which is a planned unit development, so it allows for that mixed use in that BN zoning district. So that shopping center, as of now, in our 1972 code, is the other portion that we gotta plug in for this. So for every 1,000 square feet of gross leasable area that is not devoted to food or motion picture theaters. 4 1/2 off-street parking spaces shall be provided. This petitioner is requesting a special exception to reduce that total number of off-street parking spaces in this mixed-use development from 495 spaces to 427. An identical proposal was approved in May of 2023. Absolutely nothing has changed in this. They just didn't pull the permits in time before that approval expired. So they are back with the same exact request that they were approved for last year. The proposed development will include 390 residential bedrooms as well as 1,700 square feet of commercial area. The proposed structured vehicle parking will offer 427 off-street parking spaces. Of these spaces, 374 will be restricted for residential use only on the upper levels of the deck. The remaining 53 structured spaces will be available to the public. In addition, the petitioner is proposing to build 35 on-street parking spaces in the right-of-way, and in total, the petitioner is proposing to construct 462 spaces. So show y'all a schematic site plan of what this is gonna look like, and then I will zoom in on those parking areas. Starting with that proposed parking deck, with that total of 427 spaces, 374 of which will be for residential only, blocked off, and then 53 public spaces. And then zooming back out to those 35 proposed on-street spaces. Do you have any questions for staff?
There are no changes from when it was proposed before.
Absolutely no changes.
Any more questions for the city? Thank you, Ms. Hayes. All right, Corman's North LLC.
Good evening, Andy Turner, 1810 Commons North Drive, Suite 1, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 35406. So this is the exact same proposal. So last time, once we got the approval, kind of the financial markets went crazy, and we're actually had a conference call today on that. We're starting to see changes in that. So we're actually actively working on the construction financing for this project right now. So just needed another extension, no changes to the overall plan.
Any questions? All right, thank you. We don't have anyone signed up for and against. Anyone in the audience like to speak for or against this project? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Odessa Love with Highmark Residential, 1761 Common North Loop, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 35406. Our concern is that the 35 proposed on-street spaces are problematic because it butts up to our entrance and exit for our property. It's literally right in front where the commercial entrance, residents will be. Someone backing out of a space, whether, from the on-street spaces, and our residents is either gonna create a really bad traffic jam, accidents, or a little more prone to happen. So that's our biggest concern. I don't know if, our suggestion is maybe add more space to the parking deck, or just make sure that the on-street parking spaces are not opposite of our curb cuts, because it's already a congested area as is. So with that much traffic, that's our biggest concern right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like to speak?
So my office building is directly across the street from this, and we did all appropriate traffic studies. There's very minimal traffic on this road right here. Part of the building design set the building back so that curve, you have line of sight coming through there. So there shouldn't be a problem with line of sight with the on-street parking, because we had to address all that in the traffic studies. So we had all that investigated as part of our due diligence on it.
I do have a question. I mean, by this rendering, it looks like, are those all gonna be angled parking spaces like that?
They are angled parking spaces.
You're only able to come in and turn in one way to park and back out that way?
So you would, correct. So that, and I think that was part of the, I guess, design for that, was for the traffic flow. So basically, you're gonna come in this way to park in those, you'd back up and then continue out that way.
And it looks like that little streetscape or that's in like one of the little greenery that's in between one of the parking spaces, could that be moved more down in front of their opening where they're talking about, am I looking at the right one, Commons North Loop?
It doesn't, I mean, we have no preference on where that landscape island goes. That's just part of the requirements to have those, so it doesn't affect us where that ends
So
up.
that might be good to move that down in front of their, the opening that comes out of their neighborhood.
Sure.
Am I looking at that right? Is that the opening right there?
So right above the Commons North Loop, the words on the screen.
So that's where they're,
So that is where their entrance is. I will say, our zoning regulations require a landscape island after every 12 consecutive spaces. And this area that's kind of coming around Commons North is something that I don't know a lot about because it's from our engineering, but there are some requirements for the way that that is laid out with engineering. I know that our engineering had some requirements about the spaces being angled because of the traffic flow.
Okay.
Right.
So I don't know that there's a lot of movement that could be done.
Impede more vision, trying to back out.
all right. Okay, thank you. Because it looks like there's only one way to get into those. You'll have difficulties whipping around into it. Any other comments from the public? Okay, at this time, we'll close public comment and start with board comment. Mr. Rollins?
Yeah, I have no issues. It was already approved once, and just as long as the Office of Engineering has reviewed the parking spaces and they're comfortable with it, then I'm fine.
I can certainly understand the concern, and right now, there is not a lot of traffic. There will be traffic, obviously, when this is completed. But I really have seen this in other places. I really don't think it's going to be a problem with traffic or safety. I have no problems with it.
I agree. I think them angling those parking spaces and really, and they're angled at a point that's really, you're gonna have to kind of come in a certain way. I think that will help as you're leading out. Because I just don't think it's gonna be as big an issue, but thank you for coming to share your thoughts and concerns. And please take that into consideration, the people in the area, what they're thinking. Maybe some speed bumps or something like that later on, maybe if it becomes too congested, that's something to think about there. But I don't see any other reason to deny it.
Yeah, I do not see an issue with approving this. We've approved it in the past, and based off the angled parking spots, I also agree that I don't think it's gonna be an issue with the line of sight, so I have no issue.
I concur on that, and if you've had the traffic studies done, I think it, like you said, Mary, it's gonna increase the traffic flow, obviously, when the building's done. So that's, you're talking about the future, we can't predict that. I know that engineers aren't gonna let us change that plan on that parking, so I think the angle and the traffic study makes it, plus it's approved in the past, so.
That ends board's comments. At this time, I'll read the motion. ZBA-51-24 Commons North LLC petitions for a special exception from the off-street parking regulations at 1750 Commons North Loop, Zone BN, Council District 3. Voting with Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
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 Motion approved.
Okay, we'll move into our next case for tonight. ZBA 5224, Sovereign Properties LLC petitions for a variance from the mixed residential district lot standards to construct a back-to-back duplex on the property located at 1610 Fifth Avenue East, zoned RA1 Council District 2. So here's an aerial view of that property as well as the zoning. This is over in Forest Lake. And then a closer aerial view, it's just a vacant lot. One of the lots that had a house on it originally that was destroyed in the 2011 tornado. And then just a picture of that lot. The applicable regulations, so they are proposing to build like an over-under duplex, but per our regulations, we do consider that a back-to-back duplex. The specific variances that they are requesting from is the lot area minimum, which is 7,500 square feet, and the lot depth minimum, which is 125 feet. So the petitioner is requesting for that variance to construct the over-under duplex. The mixed residential district regulations require a minimum lot depth of 125 feet and that lot area again of 7,500. The lot is currently separated into two lots. It didn't show you on that aerial view, but there's a blue, what we call a remnant lot line that runs right down the middle of it from north to south. So the petitioner is planning to move forward through the subdivision process to combine the two non-conforming lots into one lot. However, part of that subdivision process does require a dedication of right-of-way. So it is going to, even though combining those two lots would make it 7,500 square feet, dedicating that right-of-way is gonna bring it right back down. So the proposed lot will be 100 feet in depth and approximately 6,800 square feet in area. The proposed duplex will meet the setback requirements for the district. Per the petitioner, the lots in the surrounding area have approximate dimensions of 50 feet by 100 feet. So here is that proposed site plan. Do you have any questions for staff?
So, once he combines the lots, it will make it one lot that's 7,500.
Correct, but then it will require a dedication of right-of-way in order to combine them into one lot. So it still won't be buildable for any residential use.
So even if it was single family,
Still couldn't build on it because it's still under 7,500 square feet. The unique thing about our mixed residential code is it does hold strongly to those lot dimensions. If it were in an R1 through R4 district, even if it didn't meet the minimum lot area, if they could meet the setbacks, they could build on it. In this, it does allow for a back-to-back duplex by right, but you can't build anything on it because of how strict our mixed residential regulations are.
Just a quick question. So if these two lots that historically have not been separated, that it still qualify because you don't have to have
Yeah,
So it's basically unusual on this.
correct.
So the hardship is that they have to have the setback. And so
Yeah. The lots are unbuildable today, and combining them would still make an unbuildable lot. We looked into our new code as well for what this is going to be proposed to be zoned, which is MR2. Even then, it still requires a minimum lot area of 7,500.
so could anything go on this lot?
You could build a civic building.
But there's some other duplexes similar to this surrounding it. correct?
Actually, right across 17th Street East, there is one that just got built right over here in this area.
Yeah, so they're not- they're
And
not
also some
bringing-
triplexes around the corner. more
Any other
questions?
questions for Ms. Hayes?
And that's the parking that's to the north?
Correct.
And do the parking spaces satisfy the 6 bedrooms? or-
It does. It's one per bedroom.
You even have an extra one, like 7. All right, thank you, Ms. Hayes.
Thanks.
Sovereign Properties LLC.
Good evening. I'm Robert Martin with Duncan Coker Associates, 302 Merchants Walk, Tuscaloosa. As Emily said, this is a unique corner lot, or lots, I should say, that have been deeded together since, I look back in the probate records, the early 70s. So this abnormality was created a long time ago. We're proposing a duplex, which is consistent with the surrounding properties. There's been 7 or 8 of these along 17th Street East, redeveloped after the tornado. So we feel like we're meeting the intent of the use that the zoning ordinance outlines. I will add that the new, and correct me if I'm wrong, the new zoning update will eliminate the 125-foot depth requirement. So the right-of-way dedication is handicapping us with the square footage, and the 125-foot depth requirement will go away with the new zoning update. So we feel like we're doing everything we can to meet those requirements. Be happy to answer any specific questions that y'all have.
Any questions? Pretty straightforward, thank you.
Thank you.
No one signed up to speak for or against. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak for or against? At this time, we'll close public comment, beginning with board comment. Mr. Rollins?
I can see the hardship in this particular instance, and with there being other duplexes around, I'm in favor.
I really had some reservations about this one. I drove around the neighborhood and counted 7 lots that were not in that situation, but that had not been rebuilt since the tornado. And I really want to see things, everybody wants to see things rebuilt. It seems like there is nothing else you can do with this. At least that's what I understand. I think it's going to be really congested in that area because the street is so very narrow. I didn't really, it's going to be an improvement, but it will be congested. But I am in favor of it.
I do see the hardship with it being in the mixed residential and how strict the code is. Combining the lots, the setback that has been triggered, so I feel like it's really not a lot that can be done, so the improvement that's going to be made will be greatly appreciated with all the empty lots. You're right, we want to see something built back, so I'm in favor.
I'm in favor as well. It's conforming with what's in the area and the hardship of it not being buildable, so I agree.
Okay. At this time, we'll close board comment. I'll read the petition. ZBA-52-24, Sovereign Properties LLC petitions for a variance from the mixed residential district lot standards to construct a back-to-back duplex on the property located at 1610 Fifth Avenue East, Zone RA-1, Council District 2. Voting with Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
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 Motion approved.
Okay, before moving into this, I just want to make sure that there is a petitioner here to represent this case. Okay, perfect. Okay, we'll move into our next one, ZBA 5324. The Hertz Corporation petitions for a special exception to operate an automobile rental agency on the property located at 4200 McFarland Boulevard East, Suite D, Zoned BN, Council District 7. So here's an aerial view of that property as well as the zoning. This is just west of the food truck that just got approved. So this is in that shopping center. And here is a view of the building today. The applicable regulations for motor vehicle sales agency. It just essentially kind of talks about there being a fence if it's against a residential. This is not, so that is not applicable in this situation. The petitioner is requesting a special exception to operate a Hertz car rental. Per the petitioner, they plan to hire 7 full-time employees with operating hours Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So this location will serve as a temporary location for the business until the interior construction of 608 Skyland Boulevard East is completed in the next few months. They were already approved by the board for that 608 Skyland Boulevard East location. It is in this same parcel just southwest of this. So the lease at 608 will provide them with 30 parking spaces. I'll let the petitioner talk a little bit about the timeline of what they're expecting, how long they believe that they're going to have to be in this temporary location, as well as what parking comes along with this lease as well. Do you have any questions for staff?
Good evening, I'm Tyler Rochelle, 121 45th Court, Northeast, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So I'm the branch manager for the Tuscaloosa location. So like she said before, we did have a temporary approval earlier. The landlord wants to do the interior construction remodel, which has kind of been the holdup. We don't have a definitive timeline right now. I know within the company we have some shifts going on, even down to the people that were handling the real estate aspect of the move and our VP. So things were kind of shifted here kind of quickly. But like I said, they're trying to go back with the landlord now to try to get a more definitive timeline so we can get a date nailed down to when those repairs and remodels will actually be completed.
And that's for the space the new space is.
Correct.
You're talking about the landlord is going to fix the new space for y'all temporarily to be in?
So we're temporarily at the 4200. The permanent location will be the 608.
And so So 608 Skyland Boulevard is a temporary location.
608 will be our permanent location.
Okay.
So we're currently still operating out of the 4200 McFarland Boulevard East location. Correct.
But you don't have a time frame on when your other one's gonna be?
So I don't, like I said, the gentleman that was over our retails for the company has since left. So someone new that's come in recently. So now it's kind of just been a scramble that's still trying to get order to see, how the communication is gonna go. As far as who's familiar or kind of most familiar with this situation here, it's kind of gonna be myself and like my direct supervisor. Everyone kind of in between us, since the last time we came before you guys, they either have new roles or they're no longer with the company. So it's kind of trying to get them up to speed and possibly going back to renegotiate with the landlord.
Okay, so you're in 4200 McFarland Boulevard East. That's the one that's up next to
Fresh Value Mart.
Fresh
Correct.
Value Mart, right there, okay? So that's where you're operating, and you're gonna try to go into the old Payless building.
So it's not the Payless, it's next to the World, like in between World Finance with the same, I guess,
Okay,
building.
that
so to
little,
speak, is-
okay, that
correct.
other little section, okay, you're
Correct.
gonna be there.
Which we approved that one, correct? The permanent location.
So now we're just, but we don't, so we're gonna have to set a time. We're gonna set a time for you guys. That'll help with what y'all got going on if we tell you.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely, absolutely.
Because we don't like the indefinite just hanging out there, because that, you might decide, well, we'll just stay here and just do it here, so.
Understandable.
That's how I feel, like, we need to have some certainty there. Any other questions for?
So I actually don't know when the actual end date was. One of the agents just dropped by and kind
As
of let us
city,
know if it was time.
city staff, how long did they have to be there
So
originally?
the previous approval was for the permanent location located here. They do not have a temporary location. They came in for a business license, which spurred them to come get the exception for the temporary spot.
Oh, we didn't approve, that's right, y'all
That's
pulled the
correct.
temporary spot, because you thought you were gonna be able to go straight into it, okay.
Correct.
So we'll have to set a time frame of,
Right. Because our preference, especially at this point, would be for the landlord to allow us, as Hertz, to come in and make that remodel ourselves, because we could get it done a lot quicker. I think that maybe they're able to. It's just, even in the beginning, he kind of wanted to be responsible for that build out himself. But I think given time constraints, that's something that we're gonna have to revisit.
12, okay, so we'll talk about that. Any other questions for Hertz? All right, thank you so much. So nobody's signed up to speak for or against. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak for or against this petition? At this time, we'll close board comments and we'll close public comments, and we'll begin with board comments. Mr. Rollins?
Yeah, I have no issues. We just need to decide on that time frame
Okay.
to approve them for, with it being a commercial lease. I would be thinking somewhere maybe 9 to 12 months.
Well, it seems like we
I think
normally
not
do about
over-
12 months.
Yeah, I wouldn't do not over a year, but I think 12 months is reasonable.
Right. I don't have a problem with approving this. 12 months, I wouldn't be interested in anything longer than that. That should be a sufficient amount of time. And if not, you come back and then we'll see where you are and what's going on.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay. At this time, we'll close board comments. I'll read the petition. ZBA-53-24, the Hertz Corporation petitions for a special exception to operate an automobile rental agency on the property located at 4200 McFarland Boulevard East, Suite D, Zone BN, Council District 7. Voting with Mr. Rollins.
Yes.
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 12 months. I need to go back and add that. So add that to the, do I need to read it again? Okay.
Read it again, please.
Let me read it again. ZBA-53-24, the Hertz Corporation petitions for a special exception to operate an automobile rental agency on the property located at 4200 McFarland Boulevard East, Suite D, Zone BN, Council District 7, with the stipulation no longer than 12 months. Voting with Mr. Rollins.
Yes.
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 All right, motion approved.
Okay, we'll move into our next case for tonight. ZBA 5424, Stephanie Eatman petitions for a special exception to allow vehicle-mounted food sales on the property located at 1509 Dinah Washington Avenue, zoned B in Council District 1. So here's an aerial view of that property as well as the zoning. This is just adjacent to Central Elementary. It's the property right on the corner of 15th. And then here, I'm going to show you a few views of that existing parking lot. The applicable regulations, as we discussed earlier in that previous case, you do have the ability to consider this primary criteria as well as that discretionary criteria, which includes a limitation if you choose to do so. So the petitioner is requesting a special exception to operate a food truck until the build-out of the brick-and-mortar restaurant is finished. So that Stephanie's sign is actually where it's going in. They have pulled a permit that has been approved for them to begin work on that interior build-out. The food truck will operate 8 hours a day. They will have 3 employees, and there are 12 parking spaces available on the property. Do you have any questions for staff?
Thank you. You got something, Linda?
Like that.
Wait a
So
minute, Linda's
this
got
is-
something.
Because this is temporary, but I read a little bit further in the petition, in the discretionary, not discretionary, they have to have striped parking because it's not in that lot.
So
But this is temporary,
this is, the primary and discretionary criteria is fully for the board to consider. The primary is what the board should consider in each case, taking all those items into account, but you do have the full ability to vary from any of this.
So should there be also a time limit on this?
With their, the typical way that the board has moved in the approvals, time limit seems to be a pattern that the board has done.
So, but they're gonna try to get the restaurant open, so there should be some time. So when we talk to the petitioner, there should be some type of time frame.
She should
and
be
then-
able to give you an
Okay.
estimate.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, so Ms. Stephanie Eatman?
Good evening, Stephanie Eatman, 1509 Dinah Washington, Tuscaloosa 35401. Yes, want to operate food truck. The restaurant has been a dream of mine. Been going at it. I still work, been pushing, and I just can't give up. So I need more funds right now. Just hard time for me right now. So I want to work out the food truck to be able to get the brick and mortar up and running. Everybody's kind of waiting on me. Specialize in good food. I give back to the community. I do a lot of things for Tuscaloosa. That's where I'm at right now.
So when do you plan to have the restaurant up?
I need like 6 months or a little bit more. The funds just kind of ran out, so with that I had saved up. So I'm pushing for 6 months. If I needed more time, I can come back, unless you think I need a little bit more time. It is costly.
Are you renting the building?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
So you're having to pay rent on it?
Yeah,
and-
well, she did. She's, she knew my dream, so she gave me some months, free. And so now the overhead has kicked in, but I still work as well. My daughters and them, it's like a family business. They help me as well. So when I'm working, they'll, go in there and help me, my grandkids and stuff.
Any more questions?
Have you done a food truck before? Or is this gonna be your first
This
experience?
did my first time. I had a restaurant 7 years ago, but I failed, but keep going. Yeah, ma'am.
Now, where are you planning on putting the truck on this property? Go back to the picture, like where was it gonna?
See, I don't know. I was thinking about close to the road right there, but I know there's some parking spots right there, but it'll be a quick and go, because it's gonna be, I won't do soul food, that'll be in the restaurant, so it's like fish wings, so they won't be a long term for them.
So you're
sitting
talking
in the
about parking in
lot.
front of the Crepe Myrtle,
Like right there in front of
the tree,
yes, ma'am, or do you think another spot?
right there?
Yes, sir, yes, sir. I mean, unless you
And then
think on
people
the
should be able to
side.
flow in and then flow out, because there's an opening to go out the other way.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions? You say you're gonna serve fish and what?
Fish, wings, all that good stuff.
All right, wish you brought a little sample.
Restaurant. The restaurant will be out.
Dry rub.
Little sample wouldn't have hurt nothing if they don't. Any more questions?
Yes, ma'am. Lunch on me.
All right, thank you, Ms. Eaton.
You're welcome.
All right. No one signed up to speak for or against? Is there anybody in the audience that'd like to speak for or against this petition? Okay, at this time, we'll close public comment and start with board comment, Mr. Rollins.
Yeah, I have no issues. I'm in favor.
I'm also in favor, but again, we should put a time limit, I would think, on this.
I would say 9. She said 6,
Yeah.
but I'd say 9 months.
At least.
It's a baby. You should be able to have that baby in 9 months.
Is that going to do anything with one we just said
9
6 months on?
No, I don't. The two situations are different. Like, she has a brick and mortar that she's trying to get up and going.
Okay.
The other one, remember we did Jake's like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
When they have a brick and mortar and they're a food truck trying to get into a brick and mortar, but that's just a food truck. So
Yeah, that's.
that would be the difference. Am I right, legal counsel?
I'm just,
I think you said that very well.
Thank you. So that's what I'd like to see.
yeah, I'm in agreement.
Okay. We gotta, it's not a fit, wait.
Hang on.
So we'll close board comment and I'll read the petition. ZBA-54-24, Stephanie Eatman, petitions for a special exception to allow vehicle-mounted food sales on the property located at 1509 Dana Washington Avenue, Zone BN, Council District 1, with the stipulation no longer than 9 months in the food truck. Voting with Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
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 Now you can go.
Okay, board will move into our short-term rentals for the night, beginning with ZBA 5524. Bama B&B Kim Roberts petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property in a historic district located at 1400 13th Street, zoned R4H, Council District 4. So here's an aerial view of that property as well as the zoning, and then a closer aerial view of that property. So this is in the tourist overlay district, but again, it's historic, which is why that short-term rental is required, or that special exception, excuse me. So this is the parking area that was just recently installed. Just a few views of that. So Bama Vacation Rentals will be the primary contact in case of emergency. Kim Roberts or team member will be available 24 hours a day. Kim Roberts has managed many short-term rentals for years in Tuscaloosa. Signage and rule forms will be placed throughout the house. It is equipped with security cameras, keypad locks, and noise detection systems. This house is 6 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. It is not owner-occupied, and according to the petitioner, when the house is not being rented short-term, it will be used for extended long-term stays. Petitioner is requesting 10 adults and 5 vehicles. If approved, staff recommends 6 adults and 3 vehicles based on existing driveway off-street parking and occupancy as it relates to that parking. Do you have any questions for staff?
Is the 6 adults, 3 vehicles, that's just based strictly on the parking spaces and number of bedrooms?
So this is a pretty unique situation with the way that this lot is platted. It actually went through the subdivision process to parcel this out onto a lot. It was actually all one lot with the multifamily just to the north of this. Essentially, in that process, the way that the right-of-way lays, it actually cuts into that parking area, and really almost half of that driveway is in the right-of-way. It's not actually on private property, even though it appears to be.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Hayes.
Have we made any other stipulations where they, just to make sure that they don't park in the right-of-way? Have we done that? We have done that.
So over the past few months, we've seen a few where there's been unique situations where the parking pad was partially in the right-of-way, and the board, along with city staff's recommendation, stated that those cars that were in the right-of-way could not be counted towards their off-street parking. They had to fully be off the right-of-way on the parking pad.
Ms. Roberts had one last month. That was the
Yeah,
same way.
I was
and we
gonna
couldn't-
say, I remember that.
She did.
All right, thank you, Ms. Hayes. All right, representative for, I don't see Kim, so there's a representative.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Sanchez. I'm representing for Kim Roberts. She's out of town. I've got her online. Address is 13752 Westlake Drive for Bama Vacation Rentals. Any questions I can answer for you?
Okay, go back to the picture, because that was the concern about the parking. I understand that it's a 10-bedroom home, but the right-of-way, you do see that, and that you can't, when it comes to short-term rental, you can't park in that area. And so that leaves, from what we gathered, about 3 spaces.
And where is it on here? Is it about where the stakes are?
This,
Just so
okay.
she can see it.
See, that doesn't, and they think they can park, I mean, the city says 3 cars are, okay.
So you're saying pull all the way up to the front or the back half of the driveway, but nobody behind them?
Unless,
Correct.
Yes,
That would
Kim-
be out of the right-of-way, fully off-street parking.
Okay. Kim, I don't know if you can hear or if you're watching online.
That's okay.
Okay, so,
Yes, that's fine, we understand.
okay, good.
Okay, we're good. All right, any other questions? Thank you so much. There's no one signed up to speak for or against. Anybody in the audience would like to speak for or against? You like you want to say something? He's smiling like he wants to say it. We'll close public comment and start with board comment. Mr. Rollins?
Yeah, I have no issues. I'm in favor of the staff's recommendation.
I'm also in favor of staff recommendation.
I agree. Nothing, as long as they're fine with the right-of-way, and we'll stipulate no parking in the right-of-way, we need to say that, okay?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with the 6-3 with no parking in the right-of-way.
I'm in agreement.
Okay, we'll close board comment, and I'll read the petition. ZBA-55-24, Bama, B&B, Kim Roberts petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property in a historic district located at 1400 13th Street, Zone R-48, Council District 4. 6 adults, 3 vehicles, 30 nights, 1 year probationary period, no parking in the right-of-way. Voting with Mr. Rollins.
Yes.
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 Motion approved.
Okay, moving into our next short-term rental tonight, ZBA 5624, Bama B&B Kim Roberts petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property located at 1412 20th Avenue East, zoned R3, Council District 5. So here's an aerial view of that property as well as the zoning. It's just west of ACA and then northeast of Home Depot and Target. Here's a closer aerial view of that property. Some nearby short-term rentals. Here's a view of the driveway. So Bama Vacation Rentals will be the primary contact. There is signage and rule forms in place throughout the house. It is equipped with security cameras, keypad locks, and noise detection systems. The house is 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. It is not owner occupied, and it will be used for extended long-term stays when it is not being rented short-term. Petitioner is requesting 8 adults and 4 vehicles. If approved, staff recommends 6 adults and 3 vehicles. Do you have any questions for staff?
No question? Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome back.
Good evening, I'm back. My name is Vanessa Sanchez, here representing for Kim Roberts for Bama Vacation Rentals. Address is 13752 Westlake Drive.
All right, so this one right here, staff is recommending 6-3. We tend to gonna go with that because of the parking situation, same type of situation. If we approve it, it will be based on the
Could
same.
city go back to the driveway, please?
The front of the house.
Yeah, see, I mean, I'm glad that they have that other space in the front because the driveways, when they're side by side, that seems to been a problem in the past. Although it looks like they have enough room. They probably have parking in the back, do we not? There's no parking in the back of the house?
There's not a parking area in the back. The driveway kind of extends past the back of the house, but there isn't like an additional parking area from our understanding.
Okay.
And there are no sidewalks in this neighborhood? No sidewalks?
Do what?
There are no sidewalks?
No sidewalks? I don't believe so. I can go back on an aerial view. It doesn't appear that there are.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
no one signed up to speak for or against. Anybody in the audience like to speak for or against? At this time, we'll close public comment and start with board comment. Mr. Rollins?
I have no issues. I'm in favor of staff's recommendations.
I'm also in favor of staff recommendations.
I agree with my fellow board members.
I agree as well.
All right. At this time, we'll close board comments. I'll read the petition. ZBA-56-24, Bama B&B, Kim Roberts petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property located at 1412 20th Avenue East, zoned R-3, Council District 5, 6 adults, 3 vehicles, 30 nights, 1 year probationary period. Voting with Mr. Rollins.
Yes.
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 Motion approved.
Okay, board, moving into our last case for tonight. ZBA 5724, Syncria Cooper petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property located at 2600 Linda Drive, zoned R1, Council District 6. So here's an aerial view of that property as well as the zoning. And then a closer aerial view. Some nearby short-term rentals. And then this is a view from the front of the house. This is a little bit of a unique situation because there's actually, it's a little bit difficult to see, but there is a way to access here as well. The petitioner can talk about whether or not they do utilize that. So the petitioner will be the primary contact in case of emergency. This is the petitioner's first experience managing a short-term rental. The house is equipped with security cameras and keypad locks. It is 2 bedrooms and 1.5 bathrooms, and it is owner occupied. The petitioner states that she will stay with friends when the house is being rented short-term. Petitioner is requesting 6 adults and 4 vehicles. This is a situation in which city staff took into account the number of bedrooms, and our recommendation is 4 adults and 2 vehicles. Do you have any questions for staff?
I understand there was one email in opposition.
There was one email in opposition, one that had no problems with it, and then one that just had some concerns about the number of days that it would be rented for.
Hello, I am Syncria Cooper, and I live at 2600 Linda Drive, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 35405. So, correction, it is a 3-bedroom, 1 bath and a half, but I was only originally thinking about just renting 2 because I have like work equipment and stuff in one that I was just going to have locked off or whatever. However, there is a storage out back, so I'm going to go ahead. I have been, since I put in my application, I've gotten that together. So I have my shed out back where I can able to lock everything up. So I'm going to do the 3, the whole house, instead of the 2. And it's 1.5 bath. It is just for the weekends. It's not during the week. I was thinking more like game time. That was my whole idea. I don't know what else to say.
Do you have any written rules that are posted?
I do. I turned some in. I don't know if y'all have them. Okay. I do have some. Like no parking on the street, outside parties, or parties, period. Outside noise. I said 4 cars because I feel like 4 can go on the front. However, there is parking behind where 2 vehicles can go also. I said 6 adults. Well, I said 6, period. Adults, children, whatever, 6, period is what I was thinking. I don't remember what else.
Can the adjustment be made? I guess she asked for 6 and 4, so we can adjust based on what we, okay.
Correct.
All right.
And you're available while the house is being rented, if it gets approved. You'll be available if anything comes up, or?
Yes, ma'am, I'll still be here in town, whatever they need, 24 hours a day. I also know, also have like someone, like say if something was to happen with, like I have a maintenance man or whatever that's available 24 hours that I've also talked to, like if something was to happen at the home, emergency
Okay.
reasons or anything. I do want to try the noise detector thing? That was
Yeah.
something new I heard, but I'm
Yeah,
gonna look into
they
that.
have those.
'cause-
They do.
A lot of short-term rentals use that so that
They
you can,
do.
that helps you know if it's a party or something. 'cause you can
Right,
detect it.
right.
That would be great to
Mhm.
invest in. Any other questions for petitioner? No. Anything else you want to tell us?
The whole property is under surveillance. It comes to my phone, well, outside, not inside, but I automatically get notices whenever something, is going on or whatever. So I don't think that would be an issue. And again, like I said, I wouldn't, parking on the road or blocking traffic or whatever, that's not allowed.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
No one signed up to speak for or against, so we'll close public comments. We'll go to board comments. Mr. Rollins?
Yeah, I have no issues. Again, I'm comfortable with the staff's recommendation, starting off with the 4 adults for 2 vehicles for the 1 year. And then upon renewal, if the city is comfortable, then they can increase that vehicles.
So I really didn't have a problem with 6 and 3, since there's parking off the back. But this is a 1-year, 30-day, 1-year sort of probationary period. So I will go with the 4 and 2.
I didn't have a problem with the 6 and 3 because it's her personal home, so I think that she'll be selective of people that come in. The 4 and 2 was recommended because we thought it was 2 bedrooms and 1.5 bath. So now that we know it's 3 bedrooms, we typically go 6 and 3. So I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, I agree. If she's gonna use the storage room for her personal belongings and work stuff, I'm fine with 6 and 3.
I'm good with 6 and 3 as well, given that she does have back parking. She's gonna have the third bedroom.
So are we okay with 6 and 3, or is it a?
Yeah, I'm okay. I was looking at the 2 vehicles based off of existing driveway and off-street parking. That's why I thought the 2 vehicles came from the city.
But it was because of the bedrooms.
Correct. We have this in our staff presentation as just a general wording that we have derived as being an appropriate way to word things. We have considered bedrooms as a way to limit in the past, and that's just something that I typically will specify in the presentation, but just for the way that things are worded, this is the way that we do it, but I will take that into consideration in future to kind of change that up a little bit.
So the 3 vehicles is fine as far as parking. Okay, I'm comfortable.
Okay. So we'll close board comment. I'll read the petition. ZBA-57-24, Syncria Cooper petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property located at 2600 Linda Drive, zoned R-1, Council District 6. 6 adults, 3 vehicles, 30 nights, 1 year probation. Voting with Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
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 Motion approved. And at this time, we are adjourned.